Hello, Mark Royd Larson here for the Dreamcatcher podcast. This is going to be an interesting podcast, isn't it, Cheryl? This is actually a pop-up podcast, truly. We've been talking about doing pop-up podcasts around the community or wherever, and this one's very much pop-up. Actually, this was put into my mind, my whatever soul, whatever you're going to call it, by God. And yeah, we're actually sitting on our bed, so isn't that right?
Yeah. That's why I'm trying to get comfortable here because I'm not used to sitting.
Yeah. So, no, we're doing a pop-up podcast, and we're doing it real quickly because yesterday we had really terrible storms.
We were very fortunate.
We were very blessed, but we lost power for a lot of hours, and now we're doing, because we're supposed to have more storms in just a little bit.
So repeat.
Yeah. So we are actually doing laundry, and we're washing dishes, and we're doing everything right now that you take for granted. When you lose electricity, you really don't realize how much you take for granted on that.
Well, and we live in the countryside, so for us, if we lose electricity, we lose water and everything else. Whereas in the city, you don't lose your water, so you can't use the bathroom.
So
enough about that, but yeah.
But no, it made us. Although we played cards, and I think the first card game wasn't so great, but second we played Go Fish.
Well, it was one of those third body problems. You needed to have
You did need to have more people.
It was not working.
No, but the Go Fish worked, and I think we were about a tie on who won those games. But gave us time to just enjoy life, because that's one thing. Life is so fast that it's a rarity in this day and age.
Well, and your dad came to visit.
Yeah, he wanted to see how much damage we had out here.
But that was nice because we didn't get to see him as much as
so there was a lot of blessings, and I am still amazed. Southern Power, who is we have public power in Nebraska, 100%. We're the only state that does. Got our power on during the night. I shout out to the men and women who do that.
Oh, that job!
Yeah, you're
not in the worst weather at the worst
time.
They
are, and they
are not happy.
No, and it's amazing how fast they get it back on, because it was such a big area that this basically hit.
Well, there were so many trees down, and people have bins in cemeteries over next door over here.
Well, I put a video on Facebook, and it doesn't even show what it was like. I mean, people said it was a tornado, but there was no noise, roar, and you know it when it's a tornado because it's like a freight train.
We've been in one.
And actually, a few years back, we had one go just to the south of us, so we know what that is. So it was just really, really, well, they said 70 to 100 mile an hour winds, and I would guess closer to the 100. I mean, our trees were flat, and there's a lot of trees that were broken off. So we're grateful, we're blessed. Actually, very comfy too. This is probably the most comfy I've ever been on a podcast. Yeah, I bet most people don't do podcasts from their bed.
So, I don't even think I want to go there.
No, those kind of podcasts I don't want to have anything to do with, and this podcast will never go that way.
No, I know.
So,
definitely.
But we are blessed, and we are thankful, and I think a lot of the things we take for granted, just like doing this, the technology it takes to get this podcast recorded and up to the world, basically from our bed. It wasn't that many years ago you couldn't imagine anything like this. And this technology, the laptop we have, and this awesome little mic that is so cute but works very powerfully. Yeah, and then we have, of course, the most important thing, we have coffee.
Coffee, yes.
In one of our mugs that we for when we were on this journey, we were coming up.
Actually,
yeah,
both of them.
Yeah,
we don't do that anymore.
Show the front of that, Cheryl. Keep moving forward.
Just keep moving
forward. And this is a Compass for Life, which is the name of our company. So it was a mistake. But anyway, we have our coffee, which we're very thankful and blessed for, and it's a good way to start the day out. So, but yeah, this was something everybody's like, well, you figured it out. It's like, it is a journey, and this was the journey. And we've got mugs, we have clothes, we have all kinds of things, but it was definitely learning.
Well, we've been going through some tough times, and it's been really kind of rugged the last few months.
Last year, because it started when we got back in Italy.
I know. I've been here. I know. But we met some people yesterday that, wow, they had an explosion near their home.
Yeah.
And it has just been, the insurance company are trying to weasel out, and he has a disability. He's blind from diabetic
for a long time.
retinopathy.
Yeah.
And they're so cheerful, and they eat life. They do. She's the fixture around here at the car shows,
Yeah, they have a
She
59
wears
Ford Galaxy.
so
Yeah.
she wears the 50s clothes all the way down to the saddle shoes
Mhm.
and stuff, and then she hula hoops. And
All
so
time.
you always see her, you always know she's around, and but we really never visited with her, because she's such a magnet for the kiddos. Because she brings extra hula hoops, and they all hula hoop, and so
I think she would let you do it too.
oh Lord, that would be a mistake.
It would be me too. I told her I couldn't do even one.
No,
So
I didn't even manage that as a kid.
yeah.
Yeah, with all of my stuff, I'd probably throw something out, and then we'd have to take me to the hospital. So I think it's a good idea. I don't try it.
Give you another hula hoop, maybe you put it back in place.
But they have both tapped into joy.
Truly.
Just all the stuff that's going on with them, and she was just so pleasant and happy and enjoying doing her hula hooping, and even though he can't see, he enjoys sitting and watching and talking to everybody.
I got a guy too.
Yeah, and he had his Hawaiian shirt on with the cars, and
Yeah, cool
they
shirt.
they just enjoy life, and so it kind of was a good lesson for me, I guess, because been kind of feeling sorry for ourselves here a little bit.
Not really.
Well, I am. Anyhow, because when you're in pain, it kind of makes it.
You have more body pain.
Well, I have arthritis and I have injuries, and I'm just so I've been kind of not happy with things lately.
Yeah. But the other stuff has gotten us to where we are today. I mean, all the stuff we've been through that we're going to be able to help people with because we've been through it personally. And it's been, that's another thing thankful for. All the people that came out to help us and have helped us. My sister, big shout out to my sister. Twice she got the power turned on for us. And even when she has been having her own issues. But
talk about somebody who's had their challenges. Your sister.
She has, and she just keeps on going. So
she's the Energizer Bunny, and then some.
She is.
I just wish she'd slow down and breathe.
I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon.
A little bit of free air for a bit, but
yeah, but no, it is just all these things that from the power company to the bank to everybody that we've been dealing with, have been. That's one thing I learned. I was talking to the guy that is going to do the podcast coming up next week. Yeah, next week. And surrender. And, I surrendered to God that he was going to be all taken care of. And like he said, surrender does not mean you sit back and watch TV. Surrender means God provides you with the opportunity to take care of the situation. And when you do take care of the situation, I found that like this Jill, who is with the power company, who has been an angel, it's just been everybody in the bank has been awesome. But it's just like, okay, it was in my head that I had so much more fear. And then when I got there, it's like, this hasn't been anything like I thought it was going to. And it's just been very interesting. Like I've told Cheryl many times, it's been educational, interesting. She doesn't find it that way. But I have.
Educational, yes. Interesting, no.
That's been interesting. So, just think of all the stuff you wouldn't know if you hadn't gone through this.
No, it was, that's one thing in difficult times. I have definitely said that, God puts his arm around me and then kicks me in the butt at the same time, because it's just like when I had cancer. My first day when I went into chemo, I was feeling pretty sorry for myself and just, terrified out of my mind, because that stuff they put in you is not, great. And I met the most wonderful person in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And then right across from me, there was a little gal that she was dying, but she was taking the chemo to keep her on a maintenance dose to see, if she could just make it to her daughter's wedding. And boy, I got kicked then because they had tried everything. And I was just on my first round of trying things. And so, like I said, put his arm around me, and then by the same token, he kicked me in my behind and told me, put on the old expression, big girl panties and deal. But
yep,
you do finally get to the point where you're so tired of dealing. And
you do, but you do.
But my point was with the other, when you were talking, there's so many similarities between things that are going on when you have really, really tough times. And I have discovered that people show up for you that you're surprised about.
True.
Because there were people that I thought would show up for me when I had cancer, and they did not. And that's fine. I understand that. But I also found that there were other people that showed up for me And I was surprised at, but then as I got into it farther and we're talking with them and things, because people would bring, food, and then people drove me to my chemos because I wasn't allowed to drive because of the treatment.
Yep.
And Mark, of course, was working, and
Amen.
so he couldn't do it. I mean, it was just, he was working his butt off the whole time trying to keep our heads above water. And
But you were still working when you had cancer.
yeah, I worked every day except the days I had needles in my chest with the pump. So, I was working too, but I found at the time people were sharing with me, and I discovered it wasn't about me that they were doing these things. It was because their grandma passed away and they couldn't do something for them. And so they did it for me. And their uncle was sick and they didn't tell them how they felt. And so, it was all these little stories that made me think, well, yeah, people do come up for you, but sometimes it's for someone else as well that you don't know anything about. Mm-hmm. And that is one thing I definitely learned in life. A lot of times it's not about you at all. And, the crappy behavior and the good behavior.
Yep.
Yes, they're doing something for you, but it's actually about someone else. And so you just kind of try and take it with grace. Sometimes you can't. You have to get through your stuff too.
Well, it's a journey sometimes on that, because sometimes it's just like, enough.
Oh, no. Yeah.
It is. And this has been, I've had my days. Everybody's like, how can you be, if people on the surface see me, because I've been pretty much my normal, I mean, I've had my days. Everybody has their days. But, and it has been exhausting. But it's kind of like a post I put up. It basically, we are conditioned to, when something bad happens, we kind of go, we got to be feeling bad, But there's also the way you can, bad happens and you still move on with who you are, and I'm usually a very upbeat, happy person. Almost always.
Which is a blessing too, because we also know people that have mental health issues.
Yeah,
no fault of their own.
Different thing.
But I'm just saying that's something we haven't had to deal with. No. So I just,
I mean, some days I'm not crazy, and I'm not saying people are crazy with mental. That is, I didn't want to go there because that's an old. I apologize for that.
Well, sometimes it's just not anyone's fault. It's just what happens.
It is. So
and you just, I have definitely learned that most of the time, not everyone, but most of the time, everyone's just trying to get through the day.
They are
the best they know how, and sometimes if you don't know how, you go into old patterns or ones that don't serve you, and we both, I'm sure we're thinking about someone we know that is in old patterns, and it's very hard to watch.
It is. And I know we're thinking about the same person.
Yes, we are. And you cry inside for them because you love them, but you can't do it for them.
No. So, but, and we forgot when we were talking about all the people, with Jill at the Caleb at the Y.
Oh, heavens, yes.
Hey, Caleb, yeah, you have helped us so much.
You have.
With all your stuff that you provided for us when we were able to have our membership, the support.
Listen to me whine about my aches and pains.
Yeah. Well, and since we've not been able to do, and having the coffee with you, at Blue Moon, and hope everything's going very well with your
he's
situation.
Expecting his second.
Yeah, probably any day.
Oh, any second now.
So. Yep. But we miss you greatly, buddy.
Yes, we do.
And can't wait to be back training with you and everything else. So, and Caleb, I'm almost in the 170s. So I'm getting there. I'm going to be down to where I need to be.
He's a true trainer. He's very, very polite about, you need to lose weight, you need to do this, but he's not someone who gets in your face with it. He just suggests and it's up to you, and that's the way it should be. And so
he's a great trainer.
Kudos to him. Hastings. I think that the Y needs to pay him more.
Yep.
So
hey, Troy would probably go with that too. Maybe not Troy. So, but anyway, it's just been interesting, the whole thing that just like little things yesterday. It's just like we made the power being out playing cards. It was something that we'll probably remember, especially the first game, which was not good. But it is how you view life, and it is tough. I have come so much since the last year when we got home from Italy. I am not the same person. And anybody who watches my podcast know I'm very much more spiritual by a long ways. Ask Cheryl. Yeah. So, but it is. There's so many things to be thankful for. It's just like I got to show this. This probably, but I can't
Yes.
see that. But this is the thing that was my sister gave to us. I can't remember who gave this to us. Maybe it's my mom and dad. But
Yeah,
somebody
got
when
to
we
be.
got married, it was
Yeah.
a nice thing the day we got married and everything, and it very thankful. It's usually hanging right there. So
Yeah, you wouldn't hit
that's
it
not a
with
fly.
this
That
head.
actually is a nail up there.
You wouldn't
So
hit it with this
and then talking about spiritual, I have this was my great grandmother's Bible. It is amazing Bible. I mean, it was so ahead of its time. I mean, it's got pictures and highlighted, and I mean, I was blessed to get that after she passed, and I don't even remember her, but I mean, very very cool on that. So yeah, life is basically it's just kind of like everybody's walking each other home. You know, there's a lot to that statement. Um, but it is everybody's trying to get through the day, and some people are better at
hiding.
hiding, yeah, what they're having to deal with, because pretty much everybody. I don't know if there's anybody that's not having to go through something. I think that's just the way it is, and I think that even if these people that are look like they have it all, there's got to be trials and tribulations there too. It's just different ones. So they have to deal with um, probably with the money, probably people trying to get their money from them all the time. I would guess, but all the good they can do with that money too. Like Tim Tebow, he's my hero. I really like that guy. I like everything he does, and he's also proved that you can be really athletic and not be, the typical jock, personality. I mean, he's anything but that. So he's one I really follow. So, and if I say so one more time, we're gonna get a needle and thread out here. So don't we have something to? Yeah, I just said it.
Yeah.
So don't we have something I need to show, Cheryl? So Cheryl, I mean, what do you think on this?
About
What we've been talking about. I mean, what people going through and why people don't catch their dreams.
because they've been told they can't and they believe people. I mean, that's been my story for a little while because I was told that I was so stupid because I had an undiagnosed learning disability that was with my hearing.
Yep.
I hear really well. That's one thing that people are really surprised about how well I do hear with in certain situations. They'll look at me and you heard that? And it's like,
unless I'm talking, then.
That's a whole different kind of it.
Yep.
Yeah, and that is something that is developed when you get married. You do learn to filter some things.
I don't even know whether be anything you need to filter out for me.
All right, we're not going to go there because I could start talking about the hole I have measured in the backyard.
Really?
Yes.
Whoa, this is news to me.
Uh-huh.
Not really.
Yeah, sure. That's my thread every once in a while when I get too irritated with them. It's like, you know when to give people space when you've been married long enough.
Yeah. Yeah, she makes it very apparent. There's nope. I know. Stay away from Cheryl for a while.
Yeah. So. Well, I mean, sometimes you do just need your space to get through something. Yeah,
you do.
It's an insult or that you don't care about someone. It's just that you need to get yourself right first before you go into their space. And
well, yeah, and getting married or your whatever, when two people come together, it takes a while. I mean, we knew each other for a long time before we got married. Yeah. Isn't that right, Cheryl?
Yeah, we did.
If Cheryl hadn't proposed to me,
pretty much.
She did. I'm not going to deny it. She was, and but
well, there's a crude expression, but I'm not going to say. But get off the pot. So
yeah. No, I was one of those. It was just like, nah, we'll just marriage fine. No, and we are at over 33 years now. So, yeah, it's been very good. I mean, she does podcasts with me. So
yeah, I get roped into a few things.
I would never do that. So, but I just said we were doing a podcast this morning.
Yeah, and I didn't have a say to say no.
You could have said no. I've done it myself.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll hey.
No, but it is a challenge. I mean, it's because when you come together, especially if you haven't been in the same household or you're forming your household, it is a change when you get married or whatever it is when two people come together. I mean, even business, two people going together with business, you have your different styles of doing business or anything like that.
Well,
it's just give and take.
Sometimes, and those are voiced and they're just something that you think, well, this is the way it's going to be. And you didn't consult the other person about how that's going to be, and or it's just how your parents did it, and you figure that's the way everybody does it, and and granted, that's something that everybody does. That you meet someone and you've heard about them, and so you expect them to be a certain way. I mean, it goes through all sorts of levels of things. And
I think people change maybe after they get married too. They're kind of in the
that's like an old expression. You're the person that when you get married, there's the person that you're marrying that's the actual person. Mm-hmm. But then there's the person that you think it is, then they're the person that they become because they've married you.
And then if you've lived on your own, you have each other's household too. Plus, you always get stuff from when you get married and showers and whatever else you have.
Or the relatives want to get rid of a few things at their house. Our house is decorated early grandma's basement, which is fine. We have some beautiful pieces.
We do. I mean, it's a blessing for all the stuff we got. It's just like if you saw our house, you would like, oh my gosh, they have a lot of stuff. And we've been working on getting rid of stuff, but we still have a lot. And in this room, it's all Christmas because a lot of stuff that I have for my vintage Christmas stuff that can't be packed away is up here.
Yeah, it has to be in control.
In fact, I'm looking at a 1925 Merry Christmas sign over there. That banner that we got in Walnut, Iowa, which is, if you've never gone to their thing in Walnut, Iowa, it's really cool.
Well, the thing is, I don't know if they're there anymore. I mean,
Walnut was not. It was Minden, Iowa.
Oh, was it Minden? Yeah. Okay, that's right. So, they're close by. So.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's just everybody has their stuff, and it's like, well, I want to keep this because this is my stuff, and it's just like coming together, meshing takes a while.
Well, it's enough that it's in a lot of TV programs about the the stuff that the guy has that the wife does not want, the fishing trophies or the stuff. I have a thing against taxidermy, not because
I don't want that.
I saw, Psycho, and ever since I saw all those birds and stuff, it kind of creeps me out, But you do have to make some adjustments, especially when people have a passion. Because, I always tease, I don't have a china cabinet, I have a Santa cabinet. Sure. And I don't really care about china. That's kind of an old-fashioned thing, and stuff is not really my thing.
And Christmas trees, you have Christmas trees up all year long because there's like how many over there on that dresser?
1, 2,
3, 4, there's a bunch.
10, 11, 12, 13, 14,
and that doesn't include over there.
15, 16, 17, 18.
Yeah, you come to it's Christmas here all the time. So I am Mr. Christmas. Yeah. But it is. Some people may not think that they want to tell that with the Christmas or whatever it is, whatever your hobby is or hobbies, it's just, but it's kind of like with the podcast. When I come together, it's a lot of times, most of the time, always, I vet people or we have just a chat, to see how people's style is,
Well,
and because it's better to know beforehand, I have found greatly. And
the very first podcast, you learned that lesson.
Well, yeah, I had one guy. I'm not even going to go there, but yeah, he was not a good fit.
No,
and I knew from then on I had to talk. Plus, I think
he looked good on paper.
He did, but you have that rapport when you do the podcast, and I have found that has been really good. People, it's not like we're strangers. We already kind of know each other, and we know our styles and the way we are, and we can go from there. And it makes a podcast very enjoyable. And people also. Most people are like the style I do, that I have people that I track, I guess, or God sends my way. But there are people that want to do it very structured. How I want the form, I want the questions I want, and I can understand that. That's why I kind of started out. But I found that was not for me, and it wasn't for the people, my guests, most overall. So, but it was good, because it was two different styles doing podcasts, and we kind of came together to know what style was going to be when we did the podcast. So it is. That's another thing in life. It's always whenever you meet two different people, they're two different people. They look at life differently, and you just and sometimes the older you get, I think it's just you let things go. It's like when I was younger, it's like this is what it's going to be, and isn't that right?
Yeah, because you that is, I think, one of the deals about becoming more of an older person. You learn usually to let things roll off your back.
You do.
You have to, or if you carry so much, it starts to become too much of a burden, and then that's, I think, a lot of times when people start, they call alcoholism and gambling addiction and sex addiction, all those types of things, a disease. Well, it is dis-ease, and when you're trying to give yourself ease, I mean, I've known a couple of people actually that had undiagnosed mental conditions like schizophrenia, and
Mm-hmm.
they've self-medicated. I mean, it's enough that they actually have terminology to go after it. And so, if you don't learn those skills, or there's something in your brain or your chemistry of your brain,
Yeah, they're learning a lot.
or your background where you were never allowed to, and you don't have those skills, it's something that, you do adjust as you get older. If you've been lucky enough, like the both of us, we had fabulous parents and siblings that were incredible. I mean, shout out to my brothers and my sister, because they've all been just,
man,
stunning as far as how kind and stuff that, the things that they've helped me with. I mean, a shout out to my brother Brian when my parents were ill, because I tried to, help my parents as much as I could, but I just couldn't, from where I am in another state. And he took over a lot of stuff that he didn't have to. And I'm eternally grateful for that. And then my other brother lived with my parents, for a while, and helped them out. And my sister, she got the brunt of, all the things when my mom first was put in the home. They were incredibly helpful, and have been incredibly kind and loving. And so when you have those kinds of things in your background, you're very lucky. Yes, there were times I was
There's no such thing as luck, it's God. Yes, you are lucky, but it's through God.
That we had such a base to come from. And I know there are people that don't have that. We have some friends that have had, all of this, and they're still struggling and taking care of people that, and then they have relatives that have come in and basically become leeches on, another family member, and they're trying to manage all of that from another city. And, you do just think about some of the other people's, that they've learned to take care of things without having anybody help them. And I'm just surprised that, I always say they're stunningly well adjusted, for what they've had to deal with. And so, I guess my point is that, you learn and you move on, and sometimes people don't, and that's fine. You just, give them some grace, or try.
Some people stay stuck, and a lot of times they stay stuck their whole life, which is too bad.
And then that's where the disease comes in with the other things. I know that's a big component of a lot of people I know that have had, because I've had members of my family have gambling addictions and alcoholism, and so it's really hard to sit by and watch. And I know that you finally have to learn to step back and just say, I love you, but I can't watch you do this to yourself. And that is really difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know they feel abandoned, and it's not that at all. It's that self-preservation, not because you want to, but because you can't bear any more of their pain. And if they're not willing to address it, then you can't do it for them. And so it is really difficult.
That's true.
So learning some of those lessons are. So
there's really something getting good about getting older. Yeah. That we're still here.
We're still here, and that I remember years and years ago, there's a couple of comedians, and I'm not a real huge W.C. Fields fan, but he always used to say, "Get away from me, kid, you bother me." And as a kid, that just insulted me so much when I heard it, because my dad was a big fan of old comedian TV shows and stuff. He wasn't a big fan of W.C. Fields, but Red Skelton and Hardy and those guys. But I remember that vividly. But now I kind of get it. It's sort of like, I don't have the energy for this right now. You do learn that why that old guy across the street that you grew up with was sort of grumpy. Now you're like, I'm that grumpy person. But,
yeah, she's really grumpy.
Yeah,
you gotta watch her on days. She just stay back. Ooh.
Uh-huh.
Good thing today's not one of them.
Yeah.
Nah, she's doing the podcast with us. She's in a good mood.
Yeah, he's got to kiss up a little bit.
Okay, I guess if I must. Well, Cheryl, I am out of coffee.
Yeah,
so I think maybe it's time to wind up this podcast episode. Like I said, I bet you never thought you'd see us doing our podcast from our bed. So you never know. And join us next time. Who knows where the podcast will be? You just never know. So thank you for joining us on the Dreamcatcher podcast. Yeah, and if you want to do a pop up, in the central Nebraska area or anywhere, hey, I'll go wherever you're at and do a pop up. I'm down for that. So I think Cheryl would probably want to join us too. So
Sure.
yeah, if you want to do the podcast in Italy, yeah, I'm really down for that. You could have some of the good ones.
We'll have to have
Yeah. So, but
whatever.
Anyway, thank you for joining the podcast episode. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate all of you. And on that, I'm going to go get some more coffee. And until next time, take care.